what's our last? I'm sorry, I was a little late. Our last day is what?
We were just talking about that.
I know. I'm sorry, I was a little late.
September 29th.
For you, September 29th.
For me, September 9th. All right.
Actually, let's see. August 18th is the final presentation, and I just posted a link to it so you can.
Oh, okay.
Shad, paying attention.
Just walked in on that one. I had to go pay for parking.
Okay, so we
Yep, that's me.
we learned here with from the last session with jQuery. The jQuery is easier to use than JavaScript, but you can do the same. And you use the $sign to specify what is the meaning of the $sign here in this context. It's the jQuery. I know it's confusing. So it's the jQuery object. And then what is inside the quotes here in this case? What would we call the li.hot? But the general term for it is a selector. Would anyone say selector? Selector, okay? It's a selector, and then once we select the method, select the element, in a variety of ways. Actually, one of the things I want to show you today is the many different ways you can select elements with a jQuery, and then we can call the jQuery methods and manipulate the elements in the same ways and more than we learned in JavaScript. All right? So we went through all this. I'm not going to go over all the slides because we're going to do the examples. I just want to see if there is something here that I would like to point out to you. So we'll do those examples. Okay, so one thing I wanted to point out. There is a alternative syntax. Remember? Okay, who remembers what document ready does? Anyone? Waits for what to load?
Wait for the page to load.
Well, waits for the page and the elements on the page to load. And so if you see, so it's document ready. There is a shortcut version of this function, and it's going. You can see sometimes just as $sign and then the anonymous function. So either of the two accomplish the same thing. Okay. So this is the list of elements. We use a list of methods to update elements, and we're going to do some examples with those as well. And here this is a nice visual to show before and after are going to insert the element in front of the tag, whereas the prepend and append are going to insert it inside the tag. And so that's why it's important when you're using a method, you probably need to go, unless you have some phenomenal memories, and remember all this in your head. If you use a method, you probably want to go and check the documentation exactly what it does, right? And maybe use some method so many times that you just remember how they work. Okay, and then getting and setting attributes. We're going to look at those as well. Here is a really fun one called CSS. So this is a really powerful method that allows you to essentially set any CSS property just by calling .css, and then you can pass any type of property and then set it to a certain value from CSS. So it's very powerful.
So for doing something like that, for example, when would you use that? I mean, like something like that, so they click on something and it changes the CSS that looks differently.
Yeah, for example, we'll do some examples here. Okay, yeah, you can maybe, when you click on a certain, there will be an event, but you click on a certain element and then it changes the font size.
Okay.
Right? Or maybe on load, you can call it on load and then it just shows up and changes.
So, and I'm noticing they're all in quotes. What if you're doing something that needed to be quoted already in the CSS? Two sets of quotes. Or like say you wanted the font family to be a specific like Google font that needed to be in quotes. How would that work with them all already being in quotes?
Well, then you have to put it in quotes. So the Google font would be the same thing as the Arial here. There is no difference,
You
actually.
don't add an extra set.
I'm sorry?
You don't add a second set of quotes.
No, you not add a second quote. This is just the quotes you'd use. So if you have a Google font, you just, instead of Arial, it's going to be I guess you're going to import the Google font through a script, and then it's going to have the
Yeah, you're gonna
name.
have a script on your HTML, then you're just gonna have the family font,
Right.
font name, or
Exactly,
whatever you're
like-
using.
Tangerine or whatever they
Yeah.
have. That's right. So it will be the same principle. Now, plus equals, we're going to, I think, do this example as well. The plus equals means if we can just set font size equals to 2, this is going to set the font size to 2, but probably that's not what you want. What you want is maybe the font size was 12 and you want to add 2 to the 12. So that's what the plus 2 equals. It means add 2 to the existing font size. So make it, let's say, 14. Okay?
Is the two always in whatever units we're describing?
Yeah, it's going to be in whatever units you're using. That's just an example. Okay. If you need to do something to each of the elements in the list, like the list item, with JavaScript, to make this happen, we had to use a loop. We had to use a for loop so we can loop through the elements in the list. Or jQuery, you don't even have to do that. Or what you have to do is call the .each method, and this is going to iterate through an array, so or through a list, I should say. So that's a lot easier, right? You don't have to do even a loop. And then something else interesting here about this snippet to point out, we have the use of the this keyword, which means the current object twice. And actually, this code snippet is mixing jQuery with JavaScript. There is no $sign here. It's more efficient to call the ID with JavaScript, so just want to point out to you here. This $sign, this here with the $sign is jQuery, whereas this is JavaScript. Okay? We're going to do this example as well. But do you see what I mean? Right? There is no, this is not, there is no jQuery here, it's just JavaScript. Okay? You can also do events with jQuery. So you just call the name of the event in the on method is the one you want to use. For example, click, and on the click you're going to display the total for the bill, right? The on method handles events. And what kind of function is this? What do we call it again? Anonymous function, which means it's going to run when it's encountered in the code. This is a list of events. And we might do an event object. We skip this with JavaScript, so I think we'll try to do one. So this is a fun one. You can also do effects with jQuery, such as you can show a method, hide the method. I think we did some of these examples last time, right? And also you can animate numeric CSS properties. So any property that is expressed as a number, you can maybe, let's say you have a div with the dimensions 300 by 400. You can animate so that as it shows up on the screen, it becomes, let's say, 800 by 1000. This only works with numeric properties, so you can't change the color. If you wanted your div to change colors from red to blue, you'd have to use the jQuery UI library, which I'll talk about later. So Animate is a really fun function to use, but only works with numeric properties. So you can, you know, the font size, the dimensions, you can margins, all this stuff you can animate. And toggle, we used toggle last time. Do you remember what it does? Tatiana?
Click and it shows off the item in the list. Well, click again.
So it's going to change between the two states, right? Changes between two states. And you can also fade in and out and fade to toggle, slide up and down. So opacity you can also animate because it's opacity is expressed in between 0 and 1, right, in value. So you can start with opacity 0, and then maybe at the end of the animation it can change to 99 or 1. Okay. You can change the padding. So let's do. And as I mentioned, there are various methods to traverse the DOM. So they're going to essentially be the same functionality as we did in JavaScript. We're not doing all this today. I'm just going to review it now, and then we're going to do samples, as many coding samples as we can today, and then more on Thursday. You can add elements, you can filter elements in more sophisticated ways. You can filter if an element is there or not there, if it has a certain value, if it is. And you can find the size of the dimensions. You remember the box model from Web 110? So you can work with the box model, the width and the height properties as well. Inner width. So let's see here. So this is the content. This is the padding, right? Do you remember? I should ask you guys. Okay, what comes after the padding? Okay, and then? Good job. And so you have methods in jQuery to work with all of the different dimensions in the box. And plugin we're going to talk about as well. I think the one part of the chapter we are not going to cover is forms. I don't think we have time. You can work with forms in an easier way with jQuery, but I think we'll skip that. All right, so let's do some examples together. All right, so we have to go through the usual fun of setting up the CSS and the images for chapter 7. And there is a zip file. So please download it and unzip it, and then save the CSS and the images folders and their content inside your project folder in week 6. I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry for myself. Sorry. Seen this under the
No, we're going to do the HTML by hand, so we know what we're working with.
Is it chapter 7 resources?
Yes. There should be the only zip in week 6, and that's the one. And then open your project folder from brackets, please. You have a CSS and various images. Okay, are we set to continue? So next is for us to create the HTML page. And I think we'll keep on saving the same page as we work through the examples. So this will be basic px example.html. It's actually the same one with the list items. So we're going to see how to do similar, or the same tasks as before. So if you have this, you can reuse it, or otherwise type it real quickly. Import the CSS file. The head here. So after we have finished with the HTML page and we want to use jQuery, who remembers what is the first thing we need to do?
Link to jQuery CDN file.
Right. We need to include the jQuery library to our project so we can use the methods that are part of it. So to do so, we're going to go to the, so you can get it from different places. I like, as I mentioned, the Google hosted libraries, jQuery. So I'm going to this particular CDN, but you need to grab the link to jQuery. How do you go there?
Yeah.
I just Google it. So Google, you can Google for jQuery library, or or you can Google, if you like the Google hosted libraries, you can Google for hosted libraries. It's up to you. jQuery itself hosted as well, I think, besides downloaded. So in any case, I like the Google one, so I'm going to get the 3x snippet.
How do you know that's the one you want?
Between the three?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a fair question. You should probably, if they posted it here for general use, this tells me it's a stable version. Otherwise, they would not have posted it. So this is actually, thank you for reminding me. One real life issue with jQuery is that some companies, they actually don't have the 3x, the latest version. They're using previous versions. And sometimes some of the methods might not work. So you might encounter incompatibility. In fact, maybe we will too. So that's just something to be aware of. Okay. But if Google posted it here, I'm going to be sure. I think that's the latest stable version, and I will use it. Right? Did this answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm placing my faith in Google here a little bit. But to do this properly, you can actually research what is the latest stable version of jQuery, but, right? We can certainly do this as well. Yeah. Okay, so here is the HTML. Should be the same as previous. Well, not exactly. And then in the underneath the div and above the body closing tag, you can copy and paste the script tag for jQuery. Yeah, so we have agreed, actually your book has a discussion, where can we put jQuery? We can put it in the header and the body, but there are some advantages to put it in the body, so we're going to keep it there, just above the closing body tag.
Got it.
Okay, and then let's add another script tag and add our jQuery. So it's a few lines, so I'm just going to add it here. So we're going to say $, colon, header, dot add class, and then the name of the class is headline. And if we look in the CSS file, we actually should do this, then we'll see this class. So we're adding the header, we're adding a headline class to the header. Or actually not just the header, but so this selector is going to select all the headings. So it's a range because of the column is going to, if you have any H1 through H6, which is the range of headings, they will be selected with the column header. And then we add the class headline, the next line. Li, column, Li3, LT3 rather. Dot hide, dot fade in at 1500. Maybe we should have comments here. Select first 3 items.
What's the LT or
This is how you select the first 3 items in the list item. And maybe add a comment here, select all headings, all H1 through H6 on the page.
What is that for you?
Which one? Which line?
Select headings, is this?
So we're going to add a class headline to the headings on the page. Right now we only have an H2. Maybe we should add another one to see demonstrate.
What is the code for?
So with jQuery, you have a lot of flexibility how you select different elements on the page. You can just select them by the ID or by the class or by the element itself, as we have learned. But there are also many other ways you can go about selecting. So these are just two of the ways jQuery selectors work. Actually, I'm going to show you. Let's find the reference to look at it. Dylan? Yeah, correct. jQuery selectors. There are many of them, so we're just going to sample a few. That might be a good reference here. Let's see. Okay, so you remember last time I shared this link with you? I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but there are various different selectors. So here is the one, for example, that the header selector is the one we used. Selects all elements that are headers, like H1 and so on. Right, so it selects all of them. So I was just showing you a couple of possible examples. And then what else did we use here was the LT, right? So if we look up the documentation, select all elements at an index less than the index that was presented. So here in our jQuery, 0, 1, and 2. Right. So that's the first three. So list items with index less than 0, 1, 2. Less than 3, which is 0, 1, and 2. And so you should be familiar with these. And again, just be aware that there are many other ways you can select. You can make more sophisticated selections than just selecting the item by the ID or by the class. Right? These are just the sampling. And then $, list item. I think you all know what this is, right? And then on. So I just showed you the on method. The on method is where you tell jQuery which event you want to handle, right? So in this case, we're going to say on click. And you can see here that as you hover over, I don't know if you can see it, but you should see it on yours. We have to pass it the argument string, the string for events, in this case click, and then the event handler function. So comma, and then function. So remember to close the curly brace, parent, and semicolon. And then here we're going to say this dot remove. Okay. I'm just testing this. All right, so this faded. I don't know if you saw this. I think we should maybe change the, and let's see here. If I click on it, it disappears because it's a list item. So go ahead and finish writing the code, test it out. Make this fade into 3000 instead of 1500 so we can see it better, please. On line 19.
Is that the number of milliseconds?
Yes, the number of milliseconds. So that's 3 seconds in this case. I just wanted it to be more visible to us as we load the page. The video stopped? Thanks for telling me. Do you think it might resume sometimes? Does it resume? No.